What's up, yeah? Anderson Emerald. I am back here to talk about Erriyon Knighton. Now, he's going to be running the 200 this Thursday in Liévin, France. Running it back, he ran the 200 meters last year in the same race, and this is going to be pretty exciting considering what we saw him do last year. Now, this isn't his season's opener. He's actually run the 60-meter dash, and that might give some indications on what might be possible in this race in Liévin, France. Now, just first off, before I dive in, I want to give everyone a shout out. If you've been watching, if you've been liking, if you've been subscribing, your support has been unmatched, and I really do appreciate it. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, be sure to like the video, comment below. It really does help me out. And again, appreciate everyone who's been along for all the videos. But let's dive in with Erriyon Knighton. So like I noted, he's going to be competing on February 13th. That's Thursday in Liévin, France. This is going to be one of the more high profile meets that is on the World Athletics indoor calendar. This of course brings out some massive stars. You're going to see Erriyon Knighton, you're going to see Gudolf Sagai, you're going to see Jakob Ingebrigtsen, Grant Holloway's competing here. There's a couple athletes who are really going to be lining up here, but Erriyon Knighton is my focus here, specifically because of the 200 that he ran last year in 2024 in this exact race. Last year, Erriyon Knighton dropped a 20.21 world lead, personal best, one of the fastest times in history in the 200 indoors. And this was his first ever indoor 200. So, you know, opener for 2024, his first ever 200 indoors. That moved him to number 12 all-time indoors. You're talking about, you know, of course, some guys from the NCAA between Terrence Laird and Trayvon Bromell, right? But then also you have guys like a Frankie Fredericks, Divine Oduduru, Wallace Spearman, etc. He's gotten into some very good company and kind of jumped ahead of a bunch of guys like a Sean Crawford, like a John Capel, a Walter Dix, and Andre DeGrasse, right? Some really strong 200-meter runners. So that being his first 200 indoors of his entire career, this gives me a lot of confidence on what we might see when we do get to Liévin this Thursday. Now, when we're looking at what he's done already in 2025, like I noted, he actually opened up his season already running the 60-meter dash down in Florida, that same kind of track down in Gainesville. He ran 6.63 and 6.61. These were the first ever 60-meter dash races that he's ever run in his entire career. This is a pretty good opener for a 60. Yes, you're not going to say 6.6 is extremely fast, right? It's not beating out some of the top NCAA guys right now who are running, you know, 6.50 and 6.5s and all that, right? No, but for him to be opening up his season, running his first ever indoor 60-meter dash, he's of course on a completely different schedule, really aiming towards the World Championships in September. I think this is a very good indicator of where he's at. So now translating that to go to the indoor 200, I think this is going to bode very well. And one thing that I think is slightly different from last year relative to this year is the fact that he opened up in the 200 last year and ran 20.21. I think him running the 60 here, this actually might indicate that, hey, I want to maybe try and go a little bit faster in the 200. That 20.21, yeah, that was nice. But can we get under 20 seconds? Can we potentially go for the world record? Can we potentially go for 19.9? Is that possible? Now, I'm not saying that he's actually going to run the world record in this race on Thursday. It could happen. I would not be surprised. But, you know, who knows? Who knows? That's a very tough record. 19.92 set by Frankie Fredericks, I think in, 1996? Yeah, early 1996. This is a very tough record. Even going back to 2018 when Elijah Hall ran that 20.02, we were amazed because of how insanely fast that was. But I don't know. Maybe that is what's on Erriyon Knighton's mind. Maybe that is on Mike Holloway's mind. Can we actually maybe go for a sub 20 indoors? That might be the thinking. Now, what I do find interesting is recently, and if I have the clip, I'll put it up here, but Mike Holloway actually said that the only reason that Erriyon ran last year indoors is because he was getting a very good payday, and then he actually wasn't planning to run indoors this year. So if I have the clip, I'll put it right here.
And my thing is this: if you run indoors in the past, run indoors. If you don't run indoors, don't run indoors, right? Like don't make drastic changes because of the date of the meet. Be who you are. Continue the structures you've always had. Like Grant runs indoors, always has, right? Joseph Wambale, we don't want to see that, right? We don't want to see that, right?
We don't.
You know, Erriyon went and ran a 200 last year because they gave him a great payday. I doubt you'll see Erriyon indoors this year, you know?
Well,
so I think, you know, you have to be who you are.
So that also brings a little more intrigue to my thinking of, are they just simply trying to go for a really strong mark? Yes, maybe running indoors this year, changing the plans means that maybe they're getting a good payday, and then maybe they do want to get that good mark. But why is it that he's running down in Florida early on, opening up in that 60? maybe get the legs moving a little bit to make sure that he's really opened up and ready to go in France. Who knows? That might be the move, but I'm excited to see what Erriyon Knighton does. And I think that this is actually going to bode pretty well for his 2025. Remember, last year, he actually went to the Olympics for the second time in his career, 2021, coming right out of, well, I don't know, barely out of high school. He went pro early in that year. He got to the Olympic Games, finished 4th place in that Olympic final in Tokyo. Then he went on the run at the World Championships, bronze in 2022, silver in 2023. But then in 2024 at the Paris Olympics, he got 4th place once again. So didn't get on the podium, and he also didn't have as strong of a season in 2024 relative to what he did in 2022 as well as in 2023. If you remember, early in 2024, Erriyon Knighton didn't compete at all throughout the outdoor season early on because he had that, I forget if it was a tainted meat, but he had that kind of like situation where wasn't allowed to compete, but then eventually got to the US trials and was allowed to compete right before then, eventually qualified for the Olympic team. But because of that did kind of set him back slightly, where he only opened up at the US Olympic trials, ran that 19.7, and then he followed up through the rest of the year running 19.9s, got to the Olympic final, ran 19.9 again, and then he ran 19.7 on 2 occasions late in the season. But this does not compare to what he did in 2023, where he was extremely consistent on the road to that silver medal at the World Championships. All throughout, he opened up his season running 9.98, a little bit windy down in Florida, but then he got very consistent in the 200, 19.8, 19.7, 19.7, gets to the World Championships, 19.7 for that silver medal, 19.8, 19.9. He was very consistent within that realm of the 19.7s, 19.8s, etc., etc. That's not something we saw in 2024. And if we're just looking at his performances overall in terms of his 200-meter career, most of his marks are actually coming from 2023 as well as 2022. We know the 19.49 from 2022 all the way back, early at LSU, right? We know the 19.69, but then look at the rest of his performances, right? 2023, 19.7, 19.7. 19.7, 2022, 19.7, 2023. What? We're talking about his top 6 performances are from 2022 and 2023. Yes, he does have 3 19.7 performances from 2024, but the majority of his top marks are still from 2022 and 2023. So I do think that, of course, that time off early in the outdoor season, that set him back a little bit in terms of the plans to be prepared for the Olympic Games and to be as consistent in that 19.7, potentially 19.6 range. But what he's doing right now, I think he's setting himself up to potentially go for a sub-20 performance indoors. Do I know if that's going to happen? I don't know, but I do think he's capable of it. Not going to predict it, but we'll see. Would love to see it. But B, I also think he's setting himself up well for a very strong 2025 season. Now, it's going to be very challenging because you have a ton of guys who are really stacking up when talking about the 200. Between Kenny Bednarek, who got his 2nd Olympic silver medal and is set I think he set 3 personal bests last year, just in 2024. He's been very consistent within that 19.6, 19.5 range. Of course, Letsile Teboho, Olympic gold medalist. Like, in my opinion, he low-key might be unstoppable, when talking about his motivation, his consistency, his drive across all these different distances. His talent is insane. Now, the 200 might be his for a bit, but Noah Lyles, of course, he's in the mix there as well. He's, of course, really diving his toes into that 100, but that 200 is not going anywhere. He said that he still is focused on the 200. Those 3 guys are really holding things down. Add into the fold someone like an Alex Ogando. Add into the fold someone like a Fred Curley, who has a lot of potential. Add in a Courtney Lindsay. Add in Andre DeGrasse. Add in all these different guys who are really going to be competitive when talking about the 200. Erriyon Knighton wants to make sure, do not forget about me. Yes, I ran 19.49, 3 years ago at this point? But nah, I want to make sure I get on top of that podium. I want to get a gold medal. I don't want to be left off like I was in 2024. Now, this is all speculation because we don't know how a season is really going to unfold. We're literally still at the top of February. The indoor season is just getting rolling. He's only done 60. He's doing an indoor 200. Who knows how that's going to play out? And we have World Championships all the way down in September. But I do like the fact that he started off with that 60. He's running the 200 and probably looking at the landscape of the 200 and realizing that, I need to make sure I put my foot down. And I don't want people to, think that I was just Usain Bolt, child prodigy, whatever. Nah, I want to make sure I'm cementing myself. So we're going to see how that kind of plays out. I do like the fact that in this race, I think it's only going to be 3 lanes, so they'll probably do 3 heats of it, but you have Erriyon Knighton here. You have a couple other guys. I know Zeze ran last year as well. But you also have Alex Ogando in this race. That's going to be very exciting. Alex Ogando, he has been, in my opinion, one of the most consistent 200-meter runners since about 2022. 2022. But He's another one that I think y'all should definitely not sleep on, but he might be able to push Erriyon Knighton a little bit in this race. So let me know what you think about Erriyon Knighton running the 200 meters indoors. By the time this video comes out, it's going to be tomorrow, so we'll see how it actually goes down. Do you think that he is going to be capable of running sub 20 seconds in the indoor 200, or do you think he's probably going to hit something around his personal best, 20.21 indoors, or maybe do you think this is just going to be a training run and he'll do whatever he needs to do? Let me know what you think. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Be back again next time. Thanks for watching, y'all.